Hello everybody, this tutorial is for educational purposes only. What I'm about to do is something that you should only do onto your own network. The tutorial is for hacking a WEP based encryption wireless network. What I'm going to be showing you is where to get the software, download it, burn it onto a CD, make sure that the laptop is ready to boot up from a CD and boot up with that disk and show you what to do in the software. It is by far the simplest boot disk for hacking WEP that I've encountered. There is a lot of good other wireless hacking penetration based CDs. Backtrack is one of them, for example, and so on. But they do require a little bit of know-how on what tools do what, and there's just too much in them to understand how to do things right. So I've decided to show you this particular CD compilation for hacking a wireless key. So we begin by downloading the ISO image. We go to the website isgood.co.uk, and in there head over to the PC Talk section, which is right here, and how to hack a wireless network, which is one of the topics at the moment on the forum, and we click on it, and this is what you're going to see. The first link is to download the ISO image. It's protected with a survey questionnaire mechanism, so quite simply you'll have to fill out a survey before you'll be able to download the file. Okay, the survey system will look something like this. And there it is, and you'll be given a choice of different types of surveys. So if you fancy maybe winning a PlayStation 3 or a digital SLR camera, you just click on it. It's going to be asking you for your information and so on and so on, and maybe some questions, and once you've completed that, you will be given and directed to the file behind the survey here. So that's an idea. That's the idea. So the offer is not completed. It knows, so it hasn't sort of, pushed me on to downloading the file. The next thing, once the file is downloaded, you'll end up with this little file here. It's about 300 megabytes or so it's quite small. You then are going to need a piece of software to burn this with, and I recommend a tiny program called CD Burner XP, although it's fully compatible with Windows 7, etc. And it's also free, so we're going to just click on this free download, and we're going to go straight for run. And this is going to install a program that can burn this ISO. This is just in case if you don't have a piece of software to do this. This is a very nice clean piece of software. I'm just clicking on I accept on the agreement and getting the installation started. I agree with the default path. I'm happy with the full installation of the software, and on this screen here we must switch on the last option, associate ISO images with CD Burner XP. That will help later on. And what we also need to do is avoid installing Real Player. We don't really want any extras, we just want the burning software, so I do not want to install Real Player in this case, and we proceed with installation. So we've just downloaded the image. We're about to launch. There you go, click on finish. We're about to launch the CD-ROM burning software, and there it is. The option that you need to choose is Burn ISO Image, and we choose OK. And then we click on the Browse button to choose the file that we're going to burn. I know that I've got it on my desktop, so I click on the desktop, and there's the file, and we choose Open. Then we get ourselves a blank CD, we put it into the drive, and we click on Burn Disk. After this, you've got one more message to say that it's successfully completed. and then we will have the CD that we're going to use ready for use. So there is one more thing that I need to mention. Some laptops might not be set up to boot up from a CD. This option is controlled from within the BIOS, or this option is sometimes an option from the first startup screen. You might have a key that maybe F9 or something like that, that will allow you to choose which device to boot up from. This particular laptop has got that feature, but I'm still going to reset and go into the BIOS and show you where you can change the order of your boot devices so that you can make your CD-ROM drive bootable. So when your computer first switches on, so I'm going to just basically shut this down. When your computer first switches on, it sometimes prints press F1 to go into setup, or press F2 to go into setup, or something like that. It's that key that we're looking to press whilst you're in the first couple of seconds of switching on your system. So on my system it's F10. So right now I'm just waiting for Windows to shut down. And as soon as it does, I'm going to switch it back on. We're going to see the black screen with a bit of text, and on that screen we're going to immediately press the key to enter the setup. Now that it's off, I'm just going to press the on button, and the message that appears on my screen telling me it's F10 is down here. So I'm just going to press F10. And I've entered the BIOS. Now the BIOS is a very simple configuration page that your computer uses to get itself started. In this case, they tend to look slightly different between AMI BIOS, Intel BIOS, and so on and so on. But the objective is to either set passwords for the BIOS itself, set passwords for the system, disable things like USB ports or CD-ROM drives as well, and physically turn hardware that's built into your laptop, turn it on or off, and other advanced settings. Now I know that you'll have to look around in your BIOS, and what you're looking for is either something like this, boot options, or boot order, or something like that. And when we visit it, we go into that menu with an enter. Again, there is no mouse at this stage. We are using the arrow keys to move left and right, and up and down to go up and down the menu list, and enter to choose the option. And I can see here clearly that a series of devices that the computer can boot from, and we're just controlling the order in which it picks them to start off with. So in my system, the CD-ROM drive is the first device that it tries to boot up from. Then it tries to boot up from an external hard disk as a second, and then it continues to the hard drive, and so on and so on and so on. The idea being that we need to put the CD-ROM drive as the first boot up device. So if you have a list that you can move items up and down to control their order, use the keys to physically change the settings. In this case, I just need to move left and right, for example, to change the CD-ROM drive to the second device that it boots up to. So I know that it's correct to say it should be on the first. Then I've got a message here that says press F10 to save these settings, which we're going to. And there you go. And now we go over to File, and we save changes and exit. Sometimes we can also press Escape and get the same option. If we don't save the changes, then it's not going to affect the configuration that we've just changed. We're going to put the disk in because I know the system is going to reset as soon as I save the changes and exit. And are you sure? Press F10, and there you go. Settings have been saved, and I'm hoping that my system will boot up from the CD disk. And there it is. That's now not booting up with Windows on my hard drive, it's booting up with the CD. We're just going to press enter on Start BAMI. and we wait. It doesn't take long to boot up, and again I have picked this particular installation of the tools for its simplicity. It does mean that we don't get to do some uber advanced stuff that you can do with hacking a wireless network. You see, hacking a wireless network it requires you to capture data that it's already transmitting, maybe by the person in their own home using their own PC. And in that data, every, let's say, 1,000 transmissions, there's a one piece of information that's sort of important to help decrypt the password that it's got. Now, if a person at home is not using their network and they're not generating traffic, then it takes longer to hack the wireless key. But there are some options that allow us to fake and basically stimulate traffic on the network, so that we generate information, so that we generate the possibility of finding these interesting bits of parts of the code. And after you've got enough bits, you can then run the capture that you have. You run it through a system that cracks it, and if it's got enough bits, it will give you back the WEP key. So at the bottom, there we have it. We've got our little mouse pointer, and at the bottom we've got a Mac style sort of menu system, and we're going to be clicking on feeding bottle, a little feeding bottle, baby feeding bottle icon. We click on that, and it launches. Starts off with the right message: please don't crack another access point, only test it on your own. Fair enough, I agree. Now, what we're doing here is we're choosing the wireless card that's in our laptop. If you do not see a wireless card listed on this list here, then unfortunately the wireless card that you've got inside your machine is inappropriate for the software. It doesn't have the driver, and it doesn't know how to control it, and it doesn't detect it. The only simplest solution is basically to get another wireless USB stick and plug it in, boot up the system, boot up the drive, and hopefully it will recognize that wireless stick. Okay. Now we're going to have to click and choose the card, and as soon as we do, there you go. We have to wait until it turns it. Here you go. It's gone green. Wait until it's turned it into monitor mode successfully. Okay, so it's done that. Wireless LAN 0 is now in monitor mode. It's a bit like a listening mode. It's a different mode from the normal. And then we clicked on next. So what we need to do next is find the wireless network that's in our area. So to do that, we just click on scan. It takes about, it's going to take 30 seconds to scan my nearby networks. Now, as you can see here are the MAC addresses, and you can also see the type of encryption that the network is using. And I'm going to be targeting the WEP-based network, and my particular network is actually this one right at the top, called Zone. Okay, so here we are. We're just waiting for the scan for the networks to finish. And after it's done that, there you go. I can see that I've got the Zone network is the one that I'm going to sort of attack. The other information that it's showing me here is that this is an association of clients. This is telling me that on this network there are 2 other systems on it, and that is technically correct. If I go over to somebody else's network, it tells me that it's got no clients. It's better if the network has clients, because if it has, then it means that there is computers on the network that is receiving and sending information over the wireless, and we need that activity to be happening to sort of hack the key out of it. So we're choosing my own network here, Zone, and then all we need to do is click on next. Okay, now we could quite simply click on the start button here, but I do want to show you a little bit underneath the bonnet, and this is in this advanced mode. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to switch on the capture. So what we're going to do is we're going to capture the transmission that is occurring right now on that wireless network, and we need to switch on that capture, and it will automatically saved, so you don't have to do anything, just click on capture, and there you go. It launches an extra little window that's showing you the systems that are connected, 3 of them actually. Here we go. And it's seeing a big packet number is a good thing, okay? And as these packets are transmitted, you see this little hash S that's reading a 0, now a 1. These are the special keys that we're looking for. So it's good to see this number up and down. Now I've done this intentionally. I've set my PC to be downloading some stuff, so the network is busy and it's generating these packets. A other normal scenario would be that there's nothing much happening and you've got really not much data occurring in the system. And it's for that reason I went into this advanced option. Right, so whilst that is just basically scanning the network, we'll leave that doing its business there. And the reason is that these options here, fake authentication, interactive, chop fragmentation, all of these are what we call injection methods, and what they allow us to do is to stimulate the network into making information. The stimulation is revolved around sort of connecting to it and disconnecting to it, or connecting to it and trying a password. Those sort of things generate traffic. Although we're not able to connect to the internet, we are stimulating that wireless network to talk back to us. So one of my preferred sort of methods, and what we're going to see is, if you see these packets here, they're climbing up steadily. We're on 588. Later on we're going to see how once we get some of these injection tools up and running, how it speeds up the process of getting the wireless key. Okay, so we're going to choose the chop method. The -4 is this. This button is nothing more than a good old MS-DOS command line. So as soon as I press it, it actually types in the program that we're going to be using with all the parameters. And this is what makes it awkward about hacking the wireless networks. Air Replay, the tool, is command line based, and you have to type these things out, which is a bit laborious. So it's fantastic to get a little program that is basically typing out the command line for you. As soon as we do that, that is click on chop, we can then click on run, and that command will run in a separate window. Now, and there you go. Now notice this number here now rocketing through the roof. This is a type of simulation that we're talking about, where packets of information are being sent to the wireless, and it's stimulating data to be generated. We can run more than one type of injection at one time. Sometimes chop won't do anything, or it will look like it's not really doing anything. It doesn't stimulate the network, so it's good to then try another type of attack. Here, for example, it's actually complaining that it hasn't been very successful with this type of injection. That's okay. We're going to just test out another one, the fragmentation attack, and we're going to click on that and see that it's typed out the line, and we're just going to click on run, and there you go. It's what this tool is doing is it's captured a little bit of the chit chat on the wireless, and it's replicating that command. And again, but I'm not really seeing anything on the numbers here being stimulated, although it is getting some good replies saying, yeah. So all of these are different types of attacks, and you want to use them when the network is not too busy. In this case, I'm going to choose interactive now and choose run, and there you go. Once again, this one's injecting packets, and I like this one. As you can see, the packets down here are flying. They're superseding the amount of original information being sent by the actual real clients that are connected. Right, so what next? You've got all this going on. You've got these interesting bits of information being captured. There's 6, there's 1 of them, etc., etc. Now, we actually need about 5,000 to 10,000 bits of information. On this window here, it's saving this capture. On these windows here, it's just generating traffic. And what we want to do is we can click on Start Crack and choose Run, and we can test and see if we can acquire the wireless key. Now, this is the IVs, the interesting keys. We've been running for the last couple of minutes and we already have about 2,500 of them. So it's not going to take very long before we reach 5,000. And if it doesn't doesn't achieve decrypting the values by the time we get to 5,000 of them, the next level is really sort of 8 to 10,000. So this is now a waiting game. This particular demonstration, like I said, has been prepared so that there is some nice traffic running, okay? And sometimes you could, if you have a network that's doing nothing, and if you have these tools that are unable to inject and stimulate traffic, you could be looking at days whilst you're sort of trying to get enough of these interesting keys captured. At any time, we can just click on Stop Crack. That will just close the window that was testing the crack. We can click on Start Crack again and Run, and once again it just attempts to decipher the code. I like doing this every now and then just to see up to what number it's at. We're on 2,600. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes, another, let's say 3 minutes, and I'll check again then. Hit Stop Crack to get rid of the window. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes, and what I'm going to do now is just click on Start Crack and choose Run, and there's 6,000, so we've gone past the 5,000 limit, and it's still, there you go, it's jumped all the way to 13,000 IVs being found, and there it is, the result, my wireless key. And indeed this is correct, as I know my own key, and there you go, you have seen it from beginning to end. We've captured the traffic, we've stimulated the traffic, and we've run the cracking tool to get us the actual code for the wireless network. I hope you appreciate this tutorial. There's more to come in different flavors. Just keep checking my YouTube channel and the forum to see on new stuff that I put together. If there's any questions, you're welcome to ask. So thank you very much for watching, and take care.